Sex, money, power. The scandalous trio entwines throughout history, even in the Middle Ages. These medieval scandals expose both differences and similarities to our own era. Noble misdeeds and church entanglements transcend time, while distinctive medieval perspectives on sex and marriage add spice to these scandalous tales. Excessive choices, always shocking, ignite compelling stories. Here are 10 scandals that rattled the medieval world forever. Number 10. Alice of France was a mistress to an English king while engaged to his son. Alice of France, born on the 4th of October 1160, had a life full of royal intrigue and hidden secrets. She was the daughter of King Louis VII of France and his second wife, Constance of Castile. Growing up with her half-sisters, Marie and Alex, from her father's previous marriage to Eleanor of Aquitaine, and her elder sister Margaret, Alice had a family tree tangled with royal connections. Sadly, Alice never had the chance to know her mother, as Constance passed away shortly after giving birth to her. Just 5 weeks later, her father was remarried to Adele of Champagne, with whom he had 2 more children. At the tender age of 9, Alice was promised in marriage to Richard the Lionheart, the son of Henry II of England. She was sent to England to be under Henry's guardianship, but whispers started to circulate in the English court, suggesting that Henry had taken Alice as his own mistress, and had even fathered a child with her. Tragedy struck in 1189 when King Henry II died in a joust against Gabriel de Montgomery. Richard ascended to the throne and astonishingly went on to marry Berengaria of Navarre without breaking his engagement to Alice. After Alice's brother Philip suggested that she may marry Richard's younger brother Prince John, their mother intervened and stopped the arrangement. Despite previously being a potential Queen of England, Alice ultimately married William IV Talvis, Count of Ponthieu, on August 20th, 1195. There was an age difference of 18 years between them. Alice and William had 2 daughters, Marie and Isabel. They also had a son named Jean who was stillborn. Alice passed away around 1220. Number 9. 4 people burned to death during the Bal des Ardents in 1393. Bal des Ardents, known as the Ball of the Burning Man, was a mesmerizing event orchestrated by Isabeau of Bavaria, wife of King Charles VI of France. On that fateful night of January 28, 1393, the monarch joined 5 noble Frenchmen on the dance floor, only to witness a spectacle that defied imagination. As the music swirled and the crowd watched in awe, a shocking turn of events unfolded. The 5 dancers, adorned in costumes crafted from linen, pitch, and hemp, erupted into flames, sending waves of astonishment through the court. Amidst the chaos, King Charles V managed to escape the inferno, as did one of the performers, defying the jaws of death. The cause of this harrowing tragedy remains shrouded in mystery. Some tales attribute it to the recklessness of Duke Louis I of Orleans, the king's brother, and his torch-wielding entourage, whose presence ignited the catastrophe. There were rumors to suggest that Louis intentionally started the fire. In the aftermath, Paris trembled with outrage as its citizens grappled with the reckless endangerment of their fragile sovereign. King Charles, known for his delicate mental state, was seen as a vulnerable ruler, further fueling the public's anger. The city erupted in a maelstrom of disapproval, demanding justice. To calm the chaos and bring back harmony, the royal court was required to seek forgiveness in front of the angry crowd. King Charles was riding a majestic horse, leading a procession through the streets of Paris. Following closely behind him, his uncles and brother walked barefoot, symbolizing a solemn journey of redemption, uniting a vulnerable king with his disillusioned subjects. Number 8. Katharina Etzeldorfer was executed for female homosexuality in 1477. Katharina Etzeldorfer's life took a dramatic turn in 1477 when she faced a shocking fate for her involvement in female homosexuality. Hailing from Nuremberg, Katharina had donned male attire and migrated to Speyer alongside a woman she claimed was her sister. It was during this period that her true identity was uncovered, leading to a trial that exposed her alleged crime against nature. Unveiling a haunting truth, Katharina's case stands out as a rare instance of punishment for female homosexuality. While executions for male homosexual acts were commonplace, records of women facing similar consequences were scarce. However, the prevailing societal norms still deemed female homosexuality as a grave offense. Noteworthy cases such as Catherine de la Mangère and François de l'Astrage in 1537 France, along with the infamous persecution of Agatha Dici in 1547, shed light on the broader landscape of punishment for same-sex relationships. Katharina's journey toward prosecution began when someone she confided in reported her clandestine life, living as a husband with her supposed sister. However, the revelations didn't stop there. It came to light that Katharina had engaged in sexual encounters with 2 women, both of whom claimed ignorance regarding her true gender, even during their intimate moments. Astonishingly, one of her partners disclosed the use of a unique device, a handmade strap-on dildo fashioned from a red piece of leather, cotton filling, and a wooden stick. The instrument featured a hole through which a string was threaded and tied, amplifying the illusion of a male organ. Speculation arose about her potential transgender identity, as she was said to have, quote, worked like a man. However, society's judgment was swift and unforgiving. In 1477, Katharina Etzeldorfer met her untimely demise, tragically drowned in the depths of the Rhine River as punishment for her involvement in what was considered knavery. Number 7. Peter Abelard and Eloises' affair resulted in castration. In the early 1110s, fate brought them together when Abelard became the tutor to Eloise, who happened to be the niece of Fulbert, a canon at Notre Dame in Paris. These 2 brilliant minds quickly found solace in each other's intellect, and inevitably love bloomed between them. Their passionate affair took a clandestine turn when Eloise became pregnant, giving birth to their son Astrolabe, while discreetly residing with Abelard's sister. In a secret ceremony, the couple exchanged vows and were married in Paris. However, their happiness was short-lived as news of their union spread like wildfire. Fearing for Eloise's safety, Abelard made the difficult decision to send her to the convent of Argenteuil. Though intended to protect her, this drew the ire of Fulbert, who vehemently disapproved of their relationship. Fueled by anger, Fulbert orchestrated a brutal act of revenge by dispatching a group of men to castrate Abelard. In his own words, Abelard recounted the harrowing night. Quote, "One night, while I slumbered unsuspectingly in a hidden chamber of my lodgings, they broke in with the assistance of one of my bribed servants. There they exacted a cruel and shameful punishment upon me, an act that astounded the world. They severed those parts of my body that had caused them such grief." End quote. Despite this horrific turn of events, Abelard and Eloise continued to nurture their love through the exchange of letters. In these heartfelt correspondences, Eloise grappled with her conflicting emotions, acknowledging her struggle to maintain virtue while harboring a profound love for Abelard. Meanwhile, Abelard embarked on a spiritual journey and established a religious community in Paraclete, Faro-Quincy. In 1130, Eloise assumed leadership of the abbey, embracing a cloistered life. Number 6. John Reichner was a cross-dressing prostitute in 14th century London. In the winter of 1395, or possibly 1394, Reichner, who referred to themselves as Eleanor, was apprehended in the bustling streets of the city for donning women's attire. When questioned by the authorities, Reichner made a startling admission. They had been earning money through sexual encounters. According to accounts of the time, Reichner's journey into the world of prostitution was initiated by a woman named Anna, who taught them the ways of this illicit trade, assuming the role of a woman. As Reichner revealed, quote, "A certain Elizabeth Broderer was the first to clothe me in women's garments. She also introduced her daughter Alice to various men, arranging secret liaisons under the cover of darkness. At dawn, Elizabeth would present me, disguised as Eleanor, to these men, accusing them of misconduct with her." End quote. In their confession, Reichner revealed that their encounters involved both women and men, including chaplains, numerous nuns, married women, and unmarried women. Surprisingly, the clergy, particularly the priests, were more willing participants, as they were inclined to offer greater rewards than others. The fate of Reichner remains shrouded in mystery, as historical records do not shed light on any punishment or subsequent events. It is speculated that Reichner may have been imprisoned, only to escape confinement in 1399. Nevertheless, the audacious exploits of this cross-dressing prostitute challenged long-held notions of gender, familial structures, and social order, causing ripples that reached far beyond the streets of London. Some historians even consider the legal document recounting Reichner's story as a fictional work, crafted to critique the state of 14th century London under the rule of King Richard II. Number 5. Incheborg of Denmark and Philip II of France had a, quote, one-day marriage. Incheborg was the daughter of King Valdemar of Denmark and Sophia of Minsk. Her path took an unsuspected turn when she married King Philip II of France in August 1193. Little did she know that her wedding bliss would be short-lived, as Philip wasted no time in seeking to annul their union. Mysteries shroud Philip's sudden disillusionment with Incheborg, as he hastily declared their marriage as invalid. Taking drastic measures, he imprisoned Incheborg and sought the church's involvement to officially annul their union. Initially, Philip argued that they were too closely related, but Incheborg fiercely contested this allegation, leading to its dismissal. Undeterred, Philip shifted his strategy, asserting that their marriage had never been consummated, despite Incheborg's insistence to the contrary. But in 1212, Philip reluctantly admitted that their union had indeed been consummated. The Pope at the time, Celestine III, voiced disapproval and rejected the validity of Philip's attempted divorce from Incheborg in 1195. Despite this, Philip brazenly went on to marry again the following year. Meanwhile, Incheborg languished in captivity, enduring years of imprisonment, while Philip persisted in his efforts to dissolve their marriage. By 1199, Pope Innocent III imposed an interdict on France in response to Philip's defiance. Faced with this ecclesiastical consequence, Philip feigned reconciliation with Incheborg, though the charade was short-lived. Branded a bigamist for marrying Agnes of Morania in 1196, Philip eventually had no choice but to acknowledge Incheborg as his rightful queen. In a strategic move aimed at securing Denmark against England, Philip brought Incheborg back into his fold, though their reunion existed in name alone. Number 4. King Philip IV's daughters-in-law were involved in the Tour de Nesle affair of 1314. Nestled on the enchanting banks of the Seine, this tower witnessed a scandalous chapter during the early 1300s under the watchful eyes of the D'Aunay brothers, Gautier and Philippe. Amidst the backdrop of arranged marriages orchestrated by King Philip IV of France, the tower became a clandestine haven for passion and betrayal. As the king's sons and daughter married into the Burgundy dynasty, Margarita, Blanche, and Joan found themselves drawn to the Tower Nesle, where whispers of extramarital affairs with the D'Aunay brothers swirled in the air. Joan, married to one of the king's sons, was rumored to have merely observed the debauchery unfolding before her eyes. However, secrets rarely stay hidden for long. The truth emerged when Isabella, the king's daughter and wife of King Edward II of England, revealed the illicit affairs to her father. The consequences were swift and severe. Marguerite's marriage to Louis was annulled, and their daughter was stripped of her inheritance. Charles also sought an annulment from his union with Blanche, leading both women to be confined in the formidable Chateau Gaillard. As a final act of humiliation, their heads were shaved. Tragedy befell the D'Aunay brothers as well. Accused of seducing the king's daughters-in-law, they faced a gruesome fate in 1314. Their bodies endured the horrors of being drawn, quartered, flayed, castrated, and hung, before being paraded through the very streets of Paris that had once witnessed their scandalous escapades. Number 3. Nuns played and romped with young boys at Littlemore Priory. Let us unlock the secrets of Littlemore Priory, where a recent bone-chilling find of nearly 100 skeletons has reignited curiosity about this historic location in Oxford, England. These remains shed light on the enigmatic events that took place during the early 1500s. Whispers of scandal and impropriety had long surrounded the nuns of Littlemore. Allegations of forbidden affairs, cruel violence, and a disregard for the sacred Benedictine rule echoed through the halls of St. Nicholas's Priory, also known as Littlemore Priory. This secluded sanctuary in Oxfordshire, England, held a dark secret. Founded in the 12th century, Littlemore never boasted a large community. A visit in 1445 by John Derby, acting on behalf of the Bishop of London, revealed the nuns' deviation from their holy path. They were observed breaking the rules, engaging in forbidden behaviors such as sharing beds, indulging in meat, and partaking in alcoholic beverages. The tides of scandal surged further in 1517 when Edmund Horde, an episcopal official, descended upon Littlemore. His report exposed shocking revelations. The prioress had conceived an illegitimate child with a priest and had committed theft within the priory's walls. The nuns, it was alleged, engaged in improper interactions with young boys, even in the face of severe punishment doled out by the prioress. The downfall of Littlemore came during the reign of King Henry VIII, when numerous religious institutions faced dissolution. However, it was the recent discovery of human remains that shed eerie light on the secrets buried within the priory. Among the unearthed skeletons was a young woman buried alongside a child, a position often associated with those accused of witchcraft. Archaeologist Paul Murray contemplated another possibility, that she committed sins in her lifetime and, seeking redemption, had requested to be buried face down. Number 2. Cesare Borgia held an erotic banquet at the Papal Palace in 1501. Get ready to be transported to the scandalous Banquet of the Chestnuts, a papal extravaganza that unfolded in Rome on October 30th, 1501. Hosted by the infamous Cesare Borgia, son of Pope Alexander VI, this feast of indulgence and debauchery took place at Cardinal Cesare Borgia's opulent palace. Whispers of the event speak of lavish feasts, flowing wine, and captivating music that set the stage for an unforgettable night of pleasure. In attendance were Rome's most alluring courtesans, known as the cortesiana, who engaged in an unending orgy that would leave even the most daring minds astounded. Contemporary accounts reveal a glimpse into the scandalous affair. As described by Johann Burchard, the scene unfolded with a post-dinner spectacle. Quote, naked courtesans danced with attendants and others, first in their garments and then disrobed, end quote. The atmosphere grew even more titillating as the candelabras were placed on the floor and chestnuts were scattered around. The courtesans, crawling on hands and knees between the flickering lights, eagerly collected the chestnuts. All the while, the Pope, Cesare Borgia, and his sister Lucretia watched with amusement. To add to the excitement, prizes were announced for those who engaged in the most encounters with the courtesans. Silk tunics, shoes, barrettes, and other luxurious items awaited those who could prove their prowess. While some may question the accuracy of Burchard's account and attempt to dismiss the banquet as a mere feast, the undeniable reality remains that Cesare Borgia was involved in a scene of unimaginable debauchery. The pontificate of Alexander VI was already notorious for its excesses, but the Banquet of the Chestnuts took the concept of indulgence to new and scandalous heights. Number 1. Pope John XII's behavior got him removed from the papacy, but he refused to leave. Pope John XII was a pontiff known for his outrageous behavior and controversial reign. Appointed by his father, Pope Agapitus II, as the ruler of Rome in 955, the young Octavius assumed the name John upon ascending to power. However, John XII faced immense challenges as both a spiritual and temporal leader. Struggling to garner support, he turned to Holy Roman Emperor Otto I for assistance, ultimately crowning him emperor in 962. Unfortunately, John XII's actions during his papacy were far from virtuous. He earned a notorious reputation for his immoral and corrupt conduct, engaging in behavior considered highly inappropriate for a religious figure. Accusations of adultery, incestuous relationships, and transforming the papal palace into a brothel surrounded him. Shockingly, he was even ordained a deacon in a horse stable and participated in pagan rituals. The extent of John XII's misconduct drew the ire of Holy Roman Emperor Otto I, who condemned his behavior. In an attempt to remove the scandal-ridden pope from power, Otto I called a council where John XII faced grave accusations, including homicide, perjury, sacrilege, and incestuous relations with female relatives, and even his own sisters. It was rumored that he indulged in devil worship and engaged in dice games, invoking the names of Zeus, Venus, and other demons. Despite a brief replacement attempt with Pope Leo VIII, John XII managed to regain control of Rome. However, his reign came to a dramatic end in 964. According to one account, he suffered a stroke while in bed with another man's wife, leading to his demise. In a more dramatic version, the woman's husband allegedly resorted to defenestration, hurling John out of a window. The scandalous legacy of Pope John XII serves as a reminder of the controversial figures that have shaped history, challenging the traditional expectations of religious leaders and leaving an indelible mark on the papacy. And that concludes our list. From papal orgies and illicit love affairs to power struggles and shocking betrayals, these scandals exposed the hidden truths of an era filled with intrigue and turmoil. They remind us that even in the hallowed halls of kings and queens, knights and clergy, scandal lurked in the shadows, forever altering the course of history. Alright, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.